It's commonly said. It's becoming more and more. It's it's becoming more and more common for Christian apologists and atheist critics of Islam to bring up the Yahweh argument that Islam does not mention the name of Yahweh in the Quran or the Hadith or any other Islamic source. So basically, nowhere in Islamic sources, in the Quran, Hadith, etc., is the name Yahweh mentioned. So their argument goes something like, well, the Prophet Muhammad, who they think invented Islam, didn't know that God's name, the God of the Bible, the God of the Bible's name is Yahweh, and that when Muhammad invented Islam, he just took the name that was around him, the name of God that was around him, which was Allah, and he didn't know what God's real name is according to the Bible, which they think is Yahweh. Well, I can kind of understand why atheists make this point, but Christians can't use this argument, and the reason why is because if they use this argument, they're being inconsistent because nowhere in the entire Greek New Testament is the word Yahweh used. It doesn't appear in the Greek New Testament manuscripts, and nowhere is Yahweh found in the New Testament. Nowhere does Jesus or the disciples say the name Yahweh. So that word or that name is not found anywhere in the Greek New Testament manuscripts or in the New Testament. So, I mean, for atheists to bring this up, I kind of understand that because they uh, they go with the Old Testament, but Christians can't use this argument. But regardless, Christians still bring up this argument. David Wood brings this up. Samuel Green brings this up. I don't know who else brings this. Other Christian apologists bring this up. Those are just the two at the top of my head. But anyways, I watched a debate or discussion. I want to say it's a debate between Apos, aka Apostate Prophet, aka David Wood's only boyfriend at this point, and Daniel Hikachu. How do you say his last name? Is it Hikachu? Daniel Hikachu? However you say his name, I don't know how to say that name. Let's just call him Daniel because I cannot say that last name. Uh, I cannot say his last name, but I know I'm pretty sure my viewers know who I'm talking about. Anyways, I watched that debate or that discussion, and apostate prophet or apos or he brought up uh, the fact that the Quran doesn't mention people like Elijah, John the Baptist, Jesus, Zechariah, and these names have the name Yahweh in it. For example, Elijah means "My God is Yahweh" or "Yahweh be praised," etc. If you translate that from Hebrew to English, well, the problem in his argument is, well, if Yahweh is not the name of God, if Yahweh is taken from pagan sources, which the evidence looks like the Israelites took that name Yahweh from a local Median god, uh, you know, uh, or storm deity in Median. Median would be in modern day Arabia or modern day northern Saudi Arabia. When they left Egypt, they took that name from the Midianites. So his argument is, well, if the Israelites stole that name from pagan sources, and if figures that are also mentioned in the Quran of being Elijah, Zechariah, John the Baptist, Jesus, etc., have that name Yahweh in them or that connotation of that name Yahweh in them, then Islam is also false because Islam is repeating pagan deity names. So that's what his argument is. So if it disproves the Bible, it also disproves the Quran. The problem is that apostate prophet. I don't understand why people take apostate prophet seriously. How he has 300,000 subscribers is a mystery of all mysteries because he doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. He's talking out of his ass, literally. Uh, the issue here is that apostate prophet is horribly ignorant about biblical history. He's horribly ignorant about Old Testament history and how the Jews like actually named their children, etc. The Jews actually named their children after their parents and their grandparents and other figures. The Jews never named their children after deities. How do we know this? We know this because traditionally Jews named their children after relatives or holy people. You know, and we can find this in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. For example, if you read the Gospel of Luke, you know, in the Gospel of Luke, it says that nobody had the name of John the Baptist in Elizabeth's relatives. If we further read the Old Testament, we find that the name, uh, the name Jonathan was already in the Old Testament. So that just shows that the Israelites, and again, keep in mind that Elizabeth was an Israelite. They named Elizabeth was the mother of John the Baptist. They named their children after uh, after their own family members, right? Or they named their children after their holy figures, etc., etc. So that's basically how the Jews would name their children. They would name their children after, after their ancestors or their relatives. So it had nothing to do with it had nothing to do with naming the people's Israelite names had nothing to do with naming their people after their deities. Their deities being Yahweh, Elohim, Eloha, etc., etc. So they would name their children. So the Jews had a very tribal mentality where they would name their children after people from their tribes, etc. So I think that's what happened with the name Elijah, with the name Jesus, Zechariah, etc. These people were named after their tribal associates. For example, we know that from the tribe of Levi, the Virgin Mary came, etc., etc. Because and Elizabeth too came from the tribe of Levi, etc. So they would name their children after these Old Testament saints or these Old Testament holy figures. So that's how the name of Yahweh got put into the names of the into their figures because they were named after their tribe, etc. So it had to do. So the Elijah, Jesus, John the Baptist, all that had to do with what their tribe or what their lineage or the people in their lineage. They were named after the people of their lineage. Probably had that name Yahweh or Elohim or El or whatever, like Gabriel. That has the name El in there. That El comes from Israel. Israel was Jacob. Jacob's name later on became Israel. So we can see in the Old Testament that people were changing their names or people were naming, or like Daniel, right? Daniel has El in it. That means he came from the house of El, or the house of El is the house of Jacob, right? Israel is Jacob. So that just further proves, that just further shows that the Israelites named their people after their children, or after their relatives, or after their holy ones. It had nothing to do with naming their children after the deities they were worshiping. It had nothing to do with them naming their figures of, naming people of Yahweh, or naming their children after the deity of Yahweh or Elohim or El. It had to do with their holy ones, their relatives, instead of it had to do with their tribe and their relatives, not from naming them after their deities they were, or their god they were worshiping. So that basically refutes the point. The whole thing is apostate prophet doesn't know what he's talking about. Yahweh definitely is not the name of God. You don't even have to do much serious research to know this. If you read Genesis chapter 1 verse 1, it says in the beginning Elohim created the heavens and the earth. Only in Exodus chapter 3 does God's name become Yahweh. But like I said in previous videos, that name Yahweh was taken from pagan sources, the Medians, etc. It was taken from Median paganism, etc., etc. So it was never the original name to begin with. Yahweh was, in all likelihood, a pagan storm deity who had a wife, Ashura. And the Israelites named their god after that, after their association with paganism. So that's the whole thing. So that's the whole point I'm trying to make here. So basically, if you're an apostate prophet fan, and if you take him seriously, and if you think he's some super scholar on Islam or Christianity or the Bible, you really don't know how scholarship works. That's not how scholarship works. Apostate prophet is just dead wrong on 99% of what he says in his videos. Like anybody can refute apostate prophet. Even like a high school student can refute him. That's how laughable his arguments are. Even Sam Shamoon has better arguments than apostate prophet, and that's no compliment because Sam Shamoon he's also pretty retarded when it comes to researching and doing a kind of heavy research when it comes to either Christianity, the Bible, or Islam, or the Quran, etc., etc. So this is just my 2 cents on the whole thing. No, the Quran is not in error when it talks about Elijah, Zechariah, John the Baptist, etc., because the Israelites named their children or named their offspring after their tribe, or after holy, or after holy people in their tribe, and after their holy, and after important relatives in their tribe. It had nothing to do with them naming their children after the deity they were worshiping, whether it's Elohim, Yahweh, or whatever, or the name of the deity they were worshiping, whether it's Elohim, Yahweh, etc., etc. Stay tuned, more videos coming up.